So good morning again, friends. It is good to be here together. We gather this morning for a unique and experiential time together. We're here for two deeply meaningful moments woven into one service and one ritual. First, we are celebrating our Unitarian Universalist flower communion, one of the most loved traditions in our faith. It's a simple act, bringing flowers, sharing flowers, but it speaks volumes. It reminds us that each one of us brings something beautiful and unique to this community. And when we come together, we create a bouquet of diversity of beliefs, diversity of identities, and diversity of love. Our diversity of humanity is our superpower. It's what draws us together. Our congregation is an example of how difference allows us to complement each other. Our uniqueness breathes life and love into who we are together. More importantly today, we are here with full hearts to remember and honor a congregant and a friend who was a cornerstone of this congregation, our beloved friend, Al Stawsky. After several years of declining health, Al passed on, I believe it was May 21st.
Yes.
Yet, though his body might not have been that strong, but his intellect and his desire to awaken the world around him to racial and social justice remained alive as ever in Al. Al was more than a congregant. Al was part of the very heart of who we are. And today we take time to hold his memory close and to share stories and to offer one another comfort and love. Our flower communion today will include an opportunity for those who feel moved to share their love and remembrance for Al. So let us move into our communion and ritual. So the flower communion, most of you do know the background, but for those that may not, in 1923 it was created by Reverend Norbert Čapek. And he was a Czechoslovakian, a Unitarian minister. And it was just after World War I, and he sought to create a ritual, a free faith-rooted ritual that involved, rooted in individual conscience and a community of love. And in doing this, the way his intention was to create a ritual that would be inviting to Catholics, former Catholics, Jews, Protestants, non-religious people, atheists, anyone that could feel at home in it. And he replaced traditional communion with this exchange of flowers. The flower communion is a celebration of choice, a freely chosen commitment to walk together in love and respect and to be nourished by our differences, as I shared before, and to find strength in our togetherness. As you look at the flowers in the communal vases behind me, may they remind you of the beauty that flourishes when we nurture our relationships, not just here, but everywhere in our lives. May we continue to listen deeply, to support one another, and to hold fast to the diversity that gives our community life. So we'll begin with the blessing of the flowers, just as Reverend Čapek did back at his time when he first did this. So I'll be blessing the flowers with holy water. So what makes holy? How do you make water holy? Right? So you know, what's the magic to that? I think it's infusing it with intention. So I keep water on my altar at home where I go to every morning, and I give thanks and pray for those of you who, individually might need prayers or special intentions, and I give thanks, and so this water is infused with the best wishes and intentions for those around us and the world, of course. So that is how I co-create holy water. So let us bless these flowers together. So I'm going to ask you, John, can you hear me through the speakers as I speak back here? Can you hear me back here? Yes? All right, I just wanted everybody on Zoom to ensure they can hear me. Spirit of life and love, we gather today in celebration of beauty, diversity, and community. We are so thankful to have this moment in time. We ask that these flowers be blessed with our love and appreciation for one another. May they remind us of the strength we find in our differences and the beauty in our interconnectedness. As we share these flowers with each other, we also share our kindness, our understanding, and our commitment to fostering and welcoming an inclusive community that is so needed in this world at this time. With this water, we bless these flowers and this congregation with the light and compassion of the Spirit of love and the Spirit of life. May it be so. So I'll invite you now to please come forward one at a time and approach the vase. The vase is behind me, quietly and reverently. I'm going to share some more details here with a sense of how important it is for each of us to address our world and one another with gentleness and reverence. I ask that you select a flower, different from the one you may have brought if you can, that particularly appeals to you. And after you select your flower, you're invited to share what it is that brings you here, what it is that makes this community and this congregation valuable to you. But also, this is our opportunity for any of us who would like to share our thoughts, feelings, remembrances, or testimony for Al, however you feel moved, if you'd like. We just ask everyone to please keep it to 1 or 2 minutes because we have quite a few people here and on Zoom, and we want to give everyone a chance to, if they'd like to share, to have that time to do so. If there's no though also I wanted to also mention that there's no pressure to speak. Your presence is gift enough. If you just want to come forward, take a flower, and return to your seat in silence, that is often says more than words as well. For those of you on Zoom, you will also have an opportunity. It'll be easier if we first go through the room here, and then we invite our Zoom friends and congregants to come on and do the same. So I invite you now to please join us up here, and one at a time. I'm going to go first. Small, but beautiful and mighty. We always say we're a small but mighty congregation. Mm-hmm. I said last year, and I say the same, knowing all of you and being able to serve with all of you however I can, as a minister and as a friend, makes me a better person. Thank you. And for Al, I've only known Al for about 4 or 5 years, and I've never been before Al at a service. I met Al in his living room, in hospital rooms, and in rehabs. But I've been blessed to have had a chance to be in the company of someone who's incredibly wise. And I often would share to Al that I thought he was one of the most spiritual human beings I had ever met. And he would laugh and say, I am an atheist. But to me, Al was truly the embodiment of spirituality, because he did the good that he did in the world, but not for anything he was going to get back. He did it for the sake of wellness for other human beings, which I think is one of the most extraordinary examples of spirituality that you can witness. So I'm so grateful I've had a chance to know him as well as I have and love him. Thank you.
The first time I came to a UUCP service back at Liberty School, I was greeted by May Stawsky.
Yes.
And at that point, I knew I had found my spiritual home. May and Al were one of the great love stories that I have encountered. May was a poet, and Al made sure that we all got to know her poetry. And I thank him for that.
May was also the first person that I met when I came to UCP. I was just thinking about that. Al and May were a force to be reckoned with. When I came into the congregation in 1998, I was on empty. Young widows are persona non grata. There is no place for young widows. If you're an older widow, you're in a lot of company. But a young widow of 44, that was really tough, and I was alone. And they really took me under their wing. And they taught me that you can get filled by doing social justice work. And I had many arguments with May saying, no, first you have to get filled and then you can do the social justice work. And I still remember we sat down at Veggie Heaven in Teaneck arguing, but she was right. And so I got involved in social justice work. Lately, I considered Al a really good friend. We talked a lot. I helped him with his services, as did Karen. And he was so wise, and he knew so much, and he was so interesting to talk to, and always funny. He laughed at all my jokes, which to me is a big deal. And he had such a great sense of humor, and he was such a wonderful person. And we started talking a lot about being Jewish. So in the last couple of years, that was our main connection. And I really loved Al. And I went to see him at the hospice on my birthday, and He was in hospice, and he saw me, and he said, "Oh, Debbie, how's the pneumonia? Are you feeling better?" That was Al. I will miss him a lot.
First UUCP. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. I would be completely isolated had I not found this place. Safe place to be with people that care. And it's just wonderful to be here. Al, we used to have lunch with Al on Fridays. And Al opened my mind to things that I never even thought about before, which is very interesting. He made me think more, understand more, and wonder more. He was really a wonderful person. I will truly miss him.
I joined UUCP in 2017, so I really barely knew Al, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to know him better. What I find in this congregation is I feel at home here. I feel like I could say anything here, and I felt that way from the very first time I encountered this group. It's a wonderful feeling of community.
Okay, I'll start first with the UUCP. Feeling at home, feeling safe is a way of describing it. But right now, this is my family. It really is my family. And, you know, and I'm not speaking figuratively. You know, I have this, you know, real, you know, place in my heart. As for Al, oh gosh, no, this is not supposed to happen. Al's been going for a while. I'm supposed to be prepared for the fact that he left us. So I'm not supposed to be tearing up when I'm thinking about him and talking about him. But I met Al and May when I met UUCP, and you mentioned about bickering with Al or arguing with Al. Al and I used to bicker because in discussions when the subject of religion came up, he would always sprout up, "I'm an atheist," and I started saying, "I'm a Christian." And so we would, you know, have conversations about this. And so that we both got to the point where we realized that this did not have to be part of any conversation about religion, you know? But there's just so many stories I could tell, and I'm not going to. Except the last conversation we had was about food and how he met May at a human rights demonstration in Greenwich Village.
NYU.
At NYU. And every Friday, before they were married, they would meet at a certain restaurant and have steak every Friday night. And they became regulars. and they continued this on after they were married. And, and that was just the beginning of the food conversation. It continued on to, as he was lying in rehab, agonizing over the fact that he couldn't taste anymore all of the food that he wished he had. Mm-hmm. The thing he wanted most, sweet potato pie and chocolate ice cream.
Well, this is a short remembrance of the times we used to celebrate Juneteenth. And the 3 Unitarian congregations would have a table set up and a tent at Overpeck Park, and literature on the table. And these congregations were maybe 5 times the size of this one. Or at that time, maybe 3 times the size. But Al would always be there, always show up. And I figured, well, I've got to go, because Al's going to be there. And at that time, I guess he was a lot older than me. Maybe he was my age now. And I'll never forget, it's not what Al said so much, but somebody else in that group. So we had, as percentage-wise, as many participants as the other 2 congregations. And somebody said to me, "You are the little congregation that could." And I'll never forget that. And that's partly because of Al. I mean, Al's spirit and strength and inspiration. Otherwise, it was hot under that tent. But I was, there were a couple of other things that I just quickly say. Al would, as part of our service auction, he would have people in his house watching a movie. He just wanted to share his interests with everybody. But my favorite thing was the Stawsky snack table. That's where he'd have his whole dining room table covered with cookies. I will miss him. And as Karen said, I also agree, this is like an extended family to me. And I mean, even though we don't meet every week as we used to, I still know when we do meet, this is where I want to be on a Sunday morning. Thank you.
I couldn't resist this flower. Well, I'm here because of all of you. And as so many of us have said, we are family. We're just very special people. And there's so much love in this room, on Zoom, and wherever we meet. Al, 2 memories are popping into my head. One, 2011, I drove down to Lower Manhattan with Al, and we joined the Occupy Wall Street demonstration. And it was just wonderful being there with him. And this was a demonstration against economic injustices. And it was very, very special being there with him. And the other memory that is popping into my head is one of the times when I visited Al. And I asked Al, what kind of pie should I make for you? He said, make a cherry pie. So I made a cherry pie, and we had cherry pie together at that time when I visited Al. Like all of us, I'm going to miss Al. I've been thinking about him every day, many times during the day. He's very much in my heart.
I admired Al for his intellect and for living his value system and for engaging in a biracial marriage. I loved May and was very sad when she passed. So they were a very special, wonderful couple that I got to know through this very special congregation. And having lived alone for so many years, I'll say what the others have said. You're my extended family. Thank you for being here for me.
I joined UUCP probably 20 or 25 years ago. So the first years I was learning a lot. And one thing I learned was that May had joined our congregation, but Al hadn't. And I think for years and years he was this active self, but and the fact that he chose UUCP, I think is a great honor to all of you. It's the people that he was drawn to and the way the congregation was led. So that really, it impressed me a lot that he had chosen you.
Hi, good morning. This congregation has also been an extended family to me, but also very good friends and people I can count on, and who will be compassionate and supportive of me, and that's really important. My memory of Al is the first time I ever met him. I think it was the first time I ever came to UUCP. We were meeting in the basement of a church. I forget what that church was. And
St. John's.
what?
Maybe St. John's.
I didn't really know anyone, and Al came up to me and said, you know, right after this, we're going over to the Circle on Tenafly Road in New Jersey, and we're going to protest. I think it was going into Iraq. I was so impressed. I said, oh my God, I've really found the place for me. So that was wonderful that he did that for me. So I think it's time for our Zoom friends to have their opportunity to. So I'm going to turn this around in a way so that you could all see the room. And so that everybody in the room can see our Zoom friends. Let's see. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Can you see the room, everybody? Very good. So I'm going to change this to speaker view. Let's see. And if anybody would like to unmute and share their thoughts, if you have a flower, you could feel free to
to share it.
They should be able to unmute.
So if anybody would like to unmute and share, this is your opportunity.
Can I talk?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, very emotional for me. You're all my brothers, you're all my sisters, you're all my friends, you're my family. Al and May were so important to me. They accepted us. And they helped us. Al was like an actual brother to me, as if I had known him my whole life. And May was my sister. And I'm going to miss Al as I miss May. When I came to UCP, I knew this was the place for me. And I wrote these words down so I don't forget them. Freedom, love, and truth. That's what I have learned from you folks. And Al was like an uncle to my children. When I had problems, I could talk to him. He would be helpful and kind and caring. I'm so grateful for every day that I have with you folks as my family. And I love Al, and I miss him. But he'll always be with me. He'll always be with us. We learned a lot. Thank you very much. Love you all.
Would anybody else like to share on Zoom? Anybody else on Zoom want to share? Please unmute. You should be able to now. Are you sure they can unmute?
Yep.
Okay. Mickey, I see you're raising your hand. Do you want to unmute? No? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Pam raised her hand.
Let me put it back on.
Hi. I didn't know Al, but when I stumbled on a Zoom UUCP meeting the very first time, I was struck by the diversity of the faces I saw before me. And in the discussion that followed the service, the strength and just gentleness of everyone that spoke. And Al was there, and he was, I don't remember what he said, but I remember I was impressed by him. Like he was like an anchor of the group in some way, just by being there. It's a privilege for me to hear your memories and your sharing this morning. This group is very special to me and very supportive, and I really love you all. And I don't have flowers that I can share with you there, but I made a little bouquet from my garden.
Wow.
And
Beautiful.
it represents to me so much of all of you, because there's the simplicity of the daisies, there's the sweetness of honeysuckle, and there are these little roses that bloom every year on my goddaughter's birthday that are spicy. Spicy as all get out. And if you're not careful, you might get a little bit of a thorn. But then there's a fern, and the fern is very tender, but it's very strong. It comes up every year. So it represents to me the congregation, and that's my flower offering to you. Thank you for being there. I'm so glad that I found you.
Thank you,
We're
Pam.
glad to have you.
We're glad to have you. So glad to have you and what you offer and your presence.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Thanks for that bouquet.
Lovely. Would anybody else like to share? This is your chance, friends. Okay. Anybody, John? No? Okay. It's difficult for me to see. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. So I want to thank everyone for sharing. And for those that haven't shared, just thank you so much for being here and being part of this very special day. All of you on Zoom and in person. I thought one of the things Al gave me, besides his wisdom, is this book that he printed after May passed as a remembrance of her prose and poetry. And there was one line that stuck with me, that I feel this would be a good moment to read. And it's in a piece she wrote called The Individual and the Community, a Spiritual Challenge. And she wrote, "The communal nature of the currently evolving Unitarian Universalist theological process is aptly summarized in the African proverb, and it's the one we hear from Reverend Pippa all the time. I am because we are." It's also known as Ubuntu. I think it's appropriate that we share from May's book today. So as we bring this ritual to a close, may the beauty of the flowers we shared remind us of the beauty within each of us and the sacredness of our being. May remembrances we've shared for Al offer us comfort, and may his life continue to be an inspiration to us. Let us carry forward the love we felt here and a renewed commitment to honor the worth and dignity of every person we meet. Thank you. Our flower communion is complete. If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.